Hello viewers, I'm your host Swati Kundra with another episode of South Asia Focus. First we talk about Pakistan, where activists and writers have started disappearing. Earlier, only Baloch or Sindhi political activists were disappearing on charges of sedition. But now it's the turn of bloggers, writers and social media activists. We have a report.
Family members of the missing secular activists are shocked and in fear. Renowned rights activist and university professor Salman Haider disappeared from capital Islamabad on January 6. At least 3 other secular activists, Waqas Goraya, Asim Saeed and Ahmad Raza, are also missing. While all these people work in different fields, they all have one thing in common: their consistent and sharp criticism of Pakistan's security establishment and conservative groups. Shortly after their disappearances, blasphemy allegations against them appeared on social media and in a complaint to police. Mesha Saeed, the wife of missing activist Waqas Ahmad Goraya, told a news conference in Islamabad that both she and her husband were Muslims.
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मैं और अहमद वकास कुराया हम दोनों ही मुसलमान हैं और हमारा ईमान अल्लाह ताला पे है और आखिरी नबी हज़ूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम पर कामिल यकीन है कि वो आखिरी नबी हैं। मेरी जितनी भी ज़िंदगी उनके साथ गुजरी है मैं बहुत अच्छी तरह से उनको जानती हूँ और वकास कभी भी इस तरह के किसी भी काम एक्ट में एक्टिविटी में मुलव्वस होने का उनका सवाल ही पैदा नहीं होता।
Faraz Haider, the brother of another missing activist Salman Haider, said that the allegations of blasphemy were dangerous for the missing people and their family members.
जो इस हवाले से प्रोपेगेंडा किया जा रहा है उससे ना सिर्फ ये कि वो तो अपनी जगह मिसिंग हैं ही, उनके जो अहले खाना है दीगर जो हम लोग हैं उन पर जो है वो इस हवाले से बहुत ज़्यादा कंसर्न्स जो है वो हो रहे हैं, उनके तहफ़्फ़ुज़ात बहुत ज़्यादा हैं कि हमारे जिस किस्म का माहौल पाकिस्तान में पाया जाता है इस किस्म के मामलात को लेकर उनको सामने रखते हुए उनकी संजीदगी को सामने रखते हुए यकीनन ये चीज़ आगे चलकर हम सब लोगों के लिए भी ख़तरे का बाइस बन सकती है।
However, about 100 members of a little-known religious group, Tehreek Labaik Ya Rasulallah, arrived at a local press club in Karachi and started hurling stones at people gathered there to support the missing activists. They chanted slogans asking police to file blasphemy cases against the missing activists. The phenomena of missing persons is not new in Pakistan. Thousands of people have disappeared over the past few years. However, most of them were connected with the ongoing separatist movement in Balochistan province or the Islamist insurgency in the northeastern tribal areas bordering Afghanistan. Rights groups also accuse paramilitary forces of illegally picking up political activists from Karachi city. Thousands of people have disappeared in Pakistan over the past 12 years without a trace.
The disappearance of secular writers and activists is a relatively new trend in Pakistan, but it poses a big threat to free speech in the country. To know more on this, my colleague Ravi Khandelwal spoke to Tariq Fateh, a Pakistan-born Canadian writer.
Mr. Fateh, some bloggers are missing in Pakistan and their families are alleging that the ISI and the intelligence agencies are behind their abduction. So what do you say, why they are missing?
Well, of course they are missing because these bloggers or activists were criticizing the role of a state within a state, which the ISI and Pakistan's intelligence services are. But very significant over here and troubling is that 5,000 Baloch have been missing for the last many years, and none of these human rights activists in Pakistan's Punjab could care less. Now that 5 Punjabis are missing, the whole country and the whole world is addressing that issue because of the NGO connections, as if this is a great human rights violation. These are 5. Does that mean that 5 Punjabis kidnapped by the Pakistan military is a big issue, a big news, and 5,000 Baloch is not? Then that means that the Punjab civil society thought that they were above the law, even if the law meant the fascist law of the Pakistan military.
You raised the question of the Baloch who are missing there, but the target of the writers, you know, those who are writing something about the government or something about Pakistan.
Yes.
So does it a serious issue, you know, that, you know, the right of speech and right of
There is
expression
no right. There is no right of free speech in Pakistan. Who expected it? For anyone to suggest all these left-wing activists of Pakistan and the NGOs, if they still believe in the two-nation theory and admire Muhammad Ali Jinnah as a leader, then do they deserve freedom? They are asking for hatred of other people as a foundational thinking. I'm not condoning anyone's arrest. I think it is dastardly. I've been arrested a number of times. I've spent time in Pakistani prisons. The issue is fundamental. Is Pakistan worthy of being called a state? In my point of view, it isn't. It is a military racket run by a military industrial complex by the Pakistan Army that dominates the trade of banks and cement factories and cornflakes and washing machines. You name it, they do it. It's a profit-making center. It's like one of those tin pot dictators of Latin America, except here you have close to 200 million people. And out of that, in Punjab, 100 million willing to die to destroy India. That's the two-nation theory.
Mr. Fateh, you are a writer. You have, when you was in Pakistan, you was writing for the newspapers and you're from the media. So what difficulties did you face, you know, when you was in Pakistan, and what difficulties now you face since, you know, you have been writing a lot about
Well, I can't go to Pakistan. That's one difficulty, and I don't mind that. I think it's the best thing that happened to me was that I was forced into a position to make a choice. I think it is a place where you cannot be honest, even if you wish to be, and where dishonesty and lying has gone to such a degree that it has become part of the culture of Pakistan's Punjab. Almost everybody lies.
The year 2016 proved to be a tough year for journalists in war-torn Afghanistan. Scribes who have pushed their limits to expose the harsh realities of the region have been attacked time and again, and many have lost their lives. We have a report.
Being a journalist in war-torn Afghanistan is a dangerous job. The scribes here are constantly being kidnapped, attacked and killed. The country recorded over 420 cases of attacks on journalists in 2016. Among these, more than 320 attacks were related to Taliban militants, with others tied to government or some unidentified individuals. Kidnapping and intimidating journalists is a frequently used tactic by militants in Afghanistan. Duran Deesh, who has been working with Kurdish TV, was kidnapped and tortured by militants. However, he is undeterred by any Taliban activity.
این موتر مرا به جای نامعلوم برد. 2 نفر فرد مسلح بودند و حتی تهدید کردند. تمام وسایلم از پیشم گرفتن. خوشبختانه همراه خودم کارت خبرنگاری نبود و بعد از 1.5 الی 2 ساعت در جاده‌های کابل به گونه‌ای که خودم هم نمی‌فهمیدم سرم پایان بود تا که یک قدم به طرف کوچه می‌رفتم که دوباره فایر شد. فایر هوایی صورت گرفت و وقتی که خود انداختم بسیار واقعی بسیار وحشتناک بود. ترسیدم که جایم گلوله خورده و یا آسیب دیدم، اما بعد از 5 دقیقه که حالت من دوباره به دست آوردم دیدم که نه، هیچ حادثه نشده. فقط
Year 2016 was the bloodiest year in over a decade for media personnel in Afghanistan, with 14 journalists killed during the year. Journalists also encountered danger when trying to reveal corruption in the government. The government has not made much progress in security issues during past year, and that the Taliban and other militant groups were contained but expanded in 2016, which caused the degeneration of the working environment for media personnel.
Taliban is targeting media outlets and media people because the media is revealing what Taliban is doing. The media is publicizing what Taliban is doing. They are raping people, they are killing people, they are damaging schools, they are burning schools, they are damaging roads.
As the security situation remains grim in Afghanistan, the journalists have a tough road ahead to deal with the Taliban and corrupt establishment.
Now we take you to Davos in Switzerland, where South Asian leaders and business experts discuss regional cooperation and SAARC's future at the World Economic Forum. Issues like poverty eradication, strengthening trade and restructuring economies were highlighted.
Political leaders from India, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, along with various business experts, discussed South Asian regional cooperation at the World Economic Forum in Davos.
The economic buoyancy that you can talk about when you talk about South Asia is something which no country can ignore. So I don't think the question should even arise in anybody's mind.
We have only one enemy, that is poverty. We must eradicate poverty from South Asia. We can do it if we are together and if we can increase our business, trade and cooperation.
We have to start restructuring our economies and how do we relate to it. India itself just started opening out only in 91, 92, so it's now coming to a critical stage where India can be a powerhouse for change and how do we work in, but rest of us still is basically a colonial economy on which we put some manufacturing activity and send people out abroad.
Concerns about its future arose last year when a summit of SAARC leaders set for Islamabad in November was postponed indefinitely amid rising tensions between India and Pakistan.
SAARC being dead, I'm just astonished that one cancelled meeting can lead to even a supposition or a preposition of that nature. Let's just look around at this table. And if you roll the clock back 10 years and you think about the relationships between India and Bangladesh or India and Sri Lanka, they weren't exactly where they are today. Progress is made, and it is made through leadership, which is truly thoughtful and mature and wise on all sides. And I think the fact that there may be one particular political relationship which has not yet matured should not lead us to a conclusion that this entire constellation of countries cannot relate.
The discussion on the future of regional cooperation in South Asia included the issue of bilateral and multilateral economic relations between the SAARC countries.
The world has to look at us now more for that which we can give them, rather than play up as though it is only in SAARC there are issues. You look at the globe, issues are everywhere, even horrendous issues everywhere else. We are keeping up a certain semblance of unity and harmony. We among ourselves can sort out our differences. I'm sure it will move forward comfortably.
Sri Lanka Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe said his country would like to have bilateral relations outside SAARC.
So want to deal with the other Bay of Bengal countries where we have to trade. We are dealing with the European Union, with China and Japan that we feel. So, but if you ask Bangladesh, they'll work in a different way. So let us all do our bilateral relations and see how it works out. There's no other way that we can do this.
The South Asian Organization was formed in 1985 to encourage cooperation between the countries of the region, but has repeatedly failed to meet its desired goals. Moving on, the gross human rights violations in Balochistan province by Pakistani army and intelligence agencies have raised serious concerns. Many countries have shown their support to the cause and have demanded justice to the Baloch people. We are now joined by Peter Thatchell, a human rights activist and supporter to Baloch cause. Mr. Peter, Baloch people are suffering due to atrocities carried out by the Pakistan army. What action needs to be taken against the state?
I propose an action plan to challenge Pakistan's human rights abuses in Balochistan, which are documented by major international human rights organizations such as Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch. I proposed a halt to all Western arms sales to Pakistan, the appointment of a UN Special Rapporteur on Balochistan, and the sending of a United Nations fact-finding mission to Balochistan, plus the prosecution of Pakistani military and intelligence officials who are implicated in war crimes and crimes against humanity. And ultimately, there needs to be a UN-supervised referendum on Balochistan with the option of remaining part of Pakistan and the option of going independent. If Pakistan really believes that the people of Balochistan want to be part of Pakistan, it should put it to a public vote under international supervision. That way we can see what the people really want.
Why the United Nations is silent about the situation in Balochistan?
The United Nations is shockingly silent about the human rights abuses in Balochistan. There are a number of reasons. First of all, Pakistan has some very powerful allies, in particular the other members of the Organization of Islamic States. And also, of course, traditionally, the United Nations takes the view that it doesn't want to dispute colonial era boundaries. And that, of course, is the problem. Balochistan was an independent state, an independent statelet in the 19th century. It became a British protectorate in the 1870s, and then it claimed its independence and won its independence in 1947. Then Pakistan invaded the following year, and ever since the country has been under military occupation. That is a legacy of colonialism and imperialism, and Pakistan should not be part of it.
Now, many countries have come in support of Balochistan's sovereignty. How do you see this change?
The support for Balochistan expressed by the government of India is a real milestone. And there are other countries as well that are looking or reviewing their stance, recognizing that Balochistan has been annexed and occupied militarily by Pakistan for nearly 7 decades, and the people there are suffering incredibly vile human rights abuses, both war crimes and crimes against humanity. So I'm very hopeful that the international community is going to step up to the plate and recognize that the historic injustice done to the people of Balochistan has to be undone.
Well, thank you, Mr. Peter, for sharing your views on Balochistan. Moving on, hundreds of devout Muslims from across the world flocked to Turag River to attend final prayers of Bishwa Ijtima Festival, the largest annual Muslim congregation in South Asia. The festival is being held at the same site since 1966 and is organized by World Tabligh Council, which preaches the teachings of Islam and Prophet Muhammad. Take a look.
The banks of the Turag River was bustling with activity as devotees converged to take part in the final day prayers of Bishwa Ijtima Festival. Bishwa Ijtima means World Congregation and is focused on interpreting the true meaning of the Quran. Over 3 million people from the Middle East, India, Pakistan, the United States, Russia and Europe gathered on the banks of the river to attend Akhiri Munajat, or the final prayers. Devout Muslims gathered in alleys and roads, taking position wherever they could to raise their hands in prayer. Ijtima, the prayer meeting, is being held in 2 phases from 2011 to help accommodate travelers who come from far and wide.
আমরা এখানে এসেছি আমাদের বড় হজের পরে দ্বিতীয় বিশ্ব ইজতেমা আমাদের দেশে এটা আরম্ভ হয়েছে এবং এই ইজতেমাতে আমরা দেশবাসী সবাই আল্লাহ তাআলার কাছে আমাদের গুনাহ মাফ চাওয়ার জন্য দেশবাসী সবার জন্য আমার আত্মীয় স্বজন যারা আছে প্রত্যেক মুসলমানের জন্য ইবাদত বندگی করার জন্য
The devotees perform daily prayers and hear sermons by scholars who recite and explain verses from the Holy Quran. The final prayer is considered a symbol of Muslim unity, solidarity, mutual love and respect, and an opportunity to reiterate their commitment to Islamic values. The event is non-political and therefore it draws people of all persuasion. The first ever congregation took place at the Kakrail Mosque in Bangladesh in 1946.
You might have visited the world-famous Madame Tussauds Wax Museum in London. Come June and you would be able to visit a Madame Tussauds museum in New Delhi, as the UK-based Merlin Enterprises that operates the iconic entertainment attraction will soon launch a flagship site in the national capital. We have a report.
The wait is finally over. Come June, and lifelike wax figures of celebrities will now be on exhibit in New Delhi, as famed Madame Tussauds forays into celebrity-mad national capital later this year. The museum will feature icons from film, sport, music industry and other notables that have not only shaped the popular and historical landscape of India but the world as a whole. Madame Tussauds is an interactive museum of wax sculptures and is one of London's biggest tourist attractions with 22 branches across the globe.
And Madame Tussauds is an interactive experience where you meet life-likeliness wax figures of all the big names in leaders, in sports, but also in music. Yeah, so it's a very diverse experience where we allow our visitors to come closer to their celebrities than ever.
At its launch recently, the museum displayed the lifelike wax statues of the megastar Amitabh Bachchan, pop star Lady Gaga and Marie Tussauds, the creator of Madame Tussauds. Each masterpiece takes around 4 months and a team of 20 artists to create. More than 250 precise body measurements are referenced, real hair are inserted and innumerable layers of paints are applied to build up the skin tones.
We looked at the culture, and of course we have a lot of Indian visitors in our existing attractions as well. Their feedback is so positive, especially also on the Indian figures, that we said we need to be there, we need to bring it to the whole country, and we need to bring this unique experience to India, and therefore our next focus was Delhi.
The museum in New Delhi will have 60% local figures and the rest 40% for international figures. It will be exciting for the people in India to visit the fascinating vaults of the Madame Tussauds Museum in the capital.
Among the many festivals celebrated by Tamil people in Sri Lanka in veneration of sun, Thai Pongal is one of the most awaited and enthusiastically celebrated festivals. I leave you with some images of the celebrations. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.